Hey everybody, welcome back to Big Frogs 4x4. Today I want to tell you a little bit about myself and my experience and how I got to where I am today. So stay tuned. I was born in the 1970s. Yes, back when carburetors were still on cars, there was no fuel injection. Born, raised, and grew up my entire life here in Pennsylvania. My first car I was 16 years old. My dad got it from a guy at work. It was a 1978 Plymouth Sapporo. I'll put a picture up here in the corner if I can find one. He got it because the guy came out from work one day, went to start the car, and it wouldn't start. So my dad went out, pulled the distributor cap off. Yes, it had a distributor cap. It was a 1978. Cleaned all the points of the rotor and cap off, put it back on. Car fired up. The guy told him, if you can get it to run, it's yours. He'll sign the title over. He got it to run, signed the title over. That was my first car. It had a Mitsubishi 4-cylinder engine under the hood, automatic transmission, rear-wheel drive. I thought it was a fast car. Obviously, not that fast, but for being a kid's first car, I thought it was a great car. From there, I went and I bought my first truck when I was 17 years old. It was a 1986 and a half Nissan hardbody pickup. And I'll put a picture of that up here in the corner. I loved that truck. It was a great truck. Once again, a 4-cylinder engine, but it had a 5-speed transmission. First transmission, 5-speed manual transmission I had ever driven. Loved that truck. Learned to drive stick in that truck. Have always loved driving stick ever since. My first 4-wheel drive was a 1985 Jeep Cherokee with a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine. Yeah, see a trend? 4-cylinder engines. They were cheap. And it had the 5-speed manual as well. Great little Jeep. That is the first Jeep I ever took off-road, me as a driver. Now, the first time I was ever off-road was the whole time I was growing up. My parents were very poor. They basically used heat with wood only. So we'd have to go out in the woods, cut down trees, load it all in the back of a truck, and take it back home for the wood stove. Well, my dad had an old Jeep J10 pickup that I remember when he got into trouble or he started getting stuck or he had to go up in the woods real deep or up a hill to get into where the wood was, where he cut the tree down, he'd open the glove box and throw a lever inside the glove box that was air operated, and he'd hear it go psh whenever the air would kick in, and then he would just plow down small saplings. He wouldn't make a trail with a chainsaw. He drove his way into those trees. Hated getting wood, hated stacking wood, hated burning wood, everything about it. But man, did I love getting to where those trees were, and I was hooked on trucks and 4-wheel drives from that day on. So I guess you can say my addiction to 4-wheel drives started with my dad. It's all his fault. So my experience as a mechanic started out when I was about 17 years old. When I bought my Nissan pickup, my dad told me, and I was making $4.25 an hour at the time, you either learn to fix it yourself or you pay someone else to fix it. Well, making $4.25 an hour, you couldn't afford to pay somebody else to fix your car. So my dad would stand over me and help me, walk me through the steps on how to do certain jobs on the truck. First thing I had to do to it was put a carrier bearing in for the drive shaft. The second thing I had to do to it was put a slave cylinder on the transmission for the clutch. Then I had to also put a clutch in the truck. I had to pull the transmission out and put a clutch in. The last job I had to do to that was put a new transmission in because the rear output seal, while I was going down the highway, went out. It dumped the transmission fluid out of the transmission and locked it in the gear. I had people beeping the horn at me while I was going down the road, and I had no idea why until I got off the ramp and couldn't get it out of gear. So I worked my way up through the workforce. I finally found a job as a forklift mechanic, working on Crown electric forklifts. Did that for about 6.5 years. That really helped me with my electrical skills, with tracing wires, wire repairs, reading schematics. I had 3 years of computer repair in high school, so I was able to read electronic schematics to a point, like related to computers, but it also helped translate over into the automotive industry. From there, I also took another small job as a supervisor. Then I went and got a job as a tractor and trailer mechanic and was able to collect training on the job to be a tractor and trailer mechanic. I've been a tractor and trailer mechanic, roadside service mechanic, for going on 5 years now. My first experience with welding was when I was a forklift mechanic. The guy in the shop was able to show me how to use a MIG welder and how to use a torch properly. And I couldn't believe that I had never had a welder in my garage at home before. It was just crazy how much stuff I had to throw away because it would have cost too much for someone else to weld it. And the stuff I had to buy because I didn't have the ability to weld it and build my own. Once I got my own welder and was able to fabricate my own parts, I was hooked then. I can use my imagination, and with metal and welding, you can pretty much imagine it, you can probably build it. I started my YouTube channel mainly because I wanted to be able to start a channel that I saw an area that it was lacking in. Detailed instructions on how to, step-by-step instructions, how to do repairs that pretty much anyone should be able to do on their own or could be able to on their own if they wanted to and save a bundle of money. Take, for instance, the pop and lock install that I did on the ZR2 for the tailgate and the fan clutch install for the Dodge Ram Cummins diesel. Both jobs could be done by a novice with hand tools if need be. No special items you need. Now, items in the video make the job easier, but are not required to do those jobs. I have a lift in my garage at home, but I'm trying to do as many jobs on the outside, on the ground, as I can so that you guys can see that it can be done in your driveway if your area permits it. Just don't have fear. Go out, watch some videos, get a service manual for your car, and try to fix it on your own. You can save a lot of money. You might even find that you find it interesting. Some people find it very relaxing. But in the end, you feel really good that it's something you did on your own. You accomplished it, and it's a great satisfaction in the end that you did it yourself. Well, that's about me, or how I got to where I am today. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Please share my videos with your friends, family, anyone that wants to do repairs on their own. Don't forget to share my video. And as always, thanks for watching, and God bless.